Okay, quick poll, show of hands. How many people here get exam anxiety? One, two, three. Ooh, just about everybody. My hand is up too. It's a nerve-wracking experience to go take these exams. So I wanted to put together my best advice that I could on studying for Cisco exams. 15 years of certification testing. This is what I've come up with, right? First and foremost, this one almost goes without saying. You got to know what you're studying for. Go to the Cisco website. This is the old ICND1 exam. Grab the exam topics from there and then print them out. Highlight them. Now they're broad, but at the same time they focus you and say, okay, well here are the topics that you need to study. Take notes on that printout. Oh, I feel good about this. Oh, well, I got to study more on this one. It gives you that focus. Second point is probably the most important of all. Whether you're reading or listening to the material, you need to approach it with a different mindset. You're not just here to absorb. You're not just here to absorb. You got to get past that. I'm not an absorber. Say that with me. I am not an absorber. I am going to take this material and I'm going to teach it to somebody. I say this is the most important thing because this is what really gears your mind to learn. When people meet me and they're like, "Oh man, Jeremy, you're so smart. You've got all these certifications." I'm like, "Oh my goodness, if I could just tell you how not smart I am." It's just I have a totally unfair advantage, and that is I've done a whole bunch of classroom training. And there is something about getting in front of a crowd of people who are going to drill you on every single topic that you tell them with all kinds of questions that you may not have even thought of that will motivate you to learn that material. It's nervous enough standing in front of a whole crowd of people, but when they're asking you questions and you've got to, you don't want to be I don't know. So when I'm studying, I'm looking, I'm like, I'm thinking not just of the material that I'm learning. I'm thinking of what questions somebody might ask me on that material that I'm learning because I really got to know it. And I'm like, man, if I'm standing in front of the room, I've never set this up before. I can't explain to people how to set this up. So I'm doing it. I'm testing out everything. So I'm encouraging you, have that mindset because I've tried studying without that mindset and it doesn't work. I tried to learn VMware. I really wanted to learn VMware because Cisco's so partnered with them, but I wasn't planning on teaching a class for it. I was just like, man, I really want to learn how to work in VMware. So I got the book, and it's funny, I say that. I'm turning around, I'm like, where is it? I'm like, there it is, right on my shelf, and that has been where it has been. I'm sitting in bed, I'm doing the nod thing. I'm like, I'll study that more tomorrow. It totally is not motivating to be an absorber. You are not an absorber, you are a teacher, so you're going to teach it to somebody. And even better if you can find somebody to teach it to. Get married if you're not married. Your spouse makes a great student. So absolutely, I just last nugget I recorded was on building a lab environment. I really encourage you to do that. Whether I suggest at this level doing the physical gear, having that in front of you. I put whether you want to set up a call manager, that's CUCM, Cisco Unified Communication Manager. If you're doing voice over IP, whatever, assemble your own world and set it up. Route your internet connection. Last night I mentioned enough on that. It is a hugely valuable thing. Gauge your level of knowledge. There are 3 levels of knowledge that I would say you can have for a topic. Can you describe it? Can I explain to somebody what VLANs are, for example? Can I configure it, meaning, okay, I know what it is and I can set it up pretty proficiently? Or can I go beyond, doing the step-by-step of like, okay, VLAN 5, name, sales, doing the step-by-step configuration. Do I actually know how to troubleshoot it? That's I would say, the ultimate level of knowledge, because now I know not only how to configure it, but also know where to look if things are going wrong. I know all the show commands. So gauge your level of knowledge for each one of those things. Now I will tell you, I'm not saying you have to be at this level on every single topic before you take the exam. But I would say the more you can know, the better, and going in what your weak spots are. I have not passed every exam first time. I would say by far not passed every exam the first time. It's a great feeling when you do. Even if you scrape by, you're like, woo, I passed. But I will say that if you go in and you don't know what level of knowledge you have, if you miss the exam, you're going to walk out having that feeling of like, throw the papers in the air. You're like, I don't even know what to study. I don't know. But if you've pre-gauged yourself, print out that exam objective list. And you say, okay, describing common networking applications. I would say you can't configure that one, but let's get to something you can configure somewhere down here. Enable that. I'm like, okay, I'm good. I feel good about enabling that. I can describe it. I can configure it, and I even know how to troubleshoot it. That way, if I come out, I know what level I'm at each one of these topics. So this one, stick to the date, schedule study time. I wish that View would change the policy for everybody, including me, that allows you to reschedule the exams, because it becomes a someday thing. My wife and I always joke, we drive around the city, and Wells Fargo has this billboard someday campaign where all these dreamy looking people are up there. They're like, oh, someday I'll own a car, someday I'll take a vacation, like implying like if you bank at Wells Fargo, you just magically get all this stuff. So if you reschedule the exams, it becomes one of those, oh, someday I'll take that test, but the job, work a couple extra hours, and then the kids, oh, we took the vacation, oh, now I forgot the stuff, I got to study again, and you just keep bumping the exam and you never end up taking it. So when you set the date, stick to that. I mean, even if it hurts, like schedule it 2 weeks out, budget your time. If you're getting there like, oh, I'm not ready, I mean, put the pressure on. Don't reschedule it. Stay up late, 2 a.m. Keep studying. Get there to where you do the exam. And I'm telling you from myself, because I get lazy too. If I know I'm just gonna bump the exam next week, I'll do it. I'll get to it. I'll get to it. It's the end. You'll never get to it. Practice exams. So a lot of people say, well, should I go buy practice exams? I'm like, if you got them, like if maybe you bought a package or something and they came with it or something like that. But they're so expensive. I'm more of the opinion of like, yeah, you know what? Go take the exam, and there's some great practice for it because it's about the same price as the practice exams that are out there. So if you got them, sure, use them. They're definitely a great way to test your knowledge. That's great, but I wouldn't go out and invest a lot of money in them. At least that's my opinion on it. Last one. These exams are tough. I've told you it has been it's a painful process at times to go through these exams. You will kick the dog. You will be upset. You'll yell at people on the freeway on the way home if you ever miss one of the exams. It is a very disappointing experience, but it's kind of like, you know what? It happens to everybody. There's people. There are people that I know. They're like, hey, I passed the exam the first time. I'm like, oh, that's good, and it really is a great feeling if you pass the exam the first time. But not everybody does, and I want to make sure that I explain to you that it's geared that way. I mean, when Cisco creates the scores, the passing score of these exams, they do it on a curve. Like if they suddenly realize, whoa, everybody's passing the exam, you're going to see that score start going up, 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 up. Cisco has a mark. They're like, we have to have a certain number of people fail this exam because you know what? It's otherwise it's not a valuable certification. It's too easy. Everybody's just able to wing past it. So know that these are very difficult exams. With all that being said, I'd like to wish you good luck and Godspeed in this Cisco exam and your entire Cisco career. I hope this has been informative for you, and I'd like to thank you for viewing.